I am Dr. Jay Keene, the Executive Director for Student Support Services. One of the biggest obstacles in pursuing a degree as an adult learner is managing your time. As an adult learner, you have a family, you have children, kids. You might be of age where your kids are younger and in school, and perhaps you have to come home and help them with their homework. Or nowadays, during this pandemic times, you are actually teaching them as they stay home in Zoom their classroom. Kids have other responsibilities. You take them to soccer practice, you have dance recitals, you have other social engagements, and they have to take them all over to be with your friends. A lot of times you are at the beck and call of your children. A lot of our population are multi-generational and living in the same home, right? Or are close knit and have family members that they have to rely on, or rely on them or you for help. You might be coming to a university now to complete your degree for career advancement, or for a career change and looking for a new job. You may currently have a full-time job that takes up your time and is no longer just a 40-hour position, but it might be a 50-hour position where you are, doing work to make sure that things are done. You may be an essential worker, a nurse, a police officer, and that may be your time, where your time is. Or in addition to your full-time job, you may, in today's economy, need a secondary job, a part-time job. Maybe you're tutoring, maybe you're helping out as a driver, Uber or Lyft, right? And so, to make some supplemental income beyond your full-time job, you're working as a part-time job as well. Or unfortunately, maybe in this economy, you're spending all your time searching. You are unemployed. You're filling out unemployment forms. You're going from job interview to job interview. You're searching, sending out resumes. That in of itself can be a full-time job. So as an adult learner, you have family concerns. You have employment concerns, health, right? You may have your own doctor's appointments that you have to run to. You have your own wellness checkups, but you also sometimes are at an age where things might be at a place where you have regular doctor's appointments for checkups, blood work, taking care of your health and of yourself and of others. And then in order to maintain your health, you must have time to exercise, go to the gym, take a walk around your neighborhood. These are pieces of the puzzle that, as an adult who you are, takes up time. So as an adult, you have the family, you have your employment, you have health, you have home. And in so doing, you may feel you're stretched in every single direction. And then there's one thing that wasn't on that list. Here you are, coming to Union Institute and University, pursuing a degree. And what wasn't on that list? School. When do you have time for school? So this video will help you as an adult learner with your time management. And you will hear from different people throughout. There'll be some activities that you can stop the video and maybe do a little bit on your own, write down some ideas, write down some notes, and you will hear from different aspects and different professionals within our own university. You will hear about the psychology behind time management, being organized. How does that make you feel? How does that help you in other areas and organizing it? And you will hear that from a faculty member who will give you that perspective of what it's like from a faculty when they're making up assignments for you to do, to understand that you're an adult learner, that you have to manage your time. And again, Union Institute has been catering to the adult learner since 1964, and therefore we have the expertise to understand the knowledge for understanding what an adult learner is and why they need to manage their time differently. You'll also hear from our writing center and the writing process. We are a very writing intensive program, and Union Institute and University has a lot of evaluation methods through writing. So what does that writing process look like? How do you prioritize? How do you manage your time when you're writing? You will hear that in this video, right? You'll be looked at as an assignment calculator, right? When you have an assignment and you're told that to do in 3 weeks, how do you break up those 21 days? How do you break up a smaller period of time? Or in some cases, you have a full semester, and then suddenly you turn around and 3/4 of the semester is done because you procrastinated. How do you calculate your time from the time that you have the assignment to the time it's due to make sure that it is done on time. And you'll hear from our librarian who will share some resources from our own library of what else you can learn or where else you can turn to for reading material about managing your time and other technological resources as well. So I hope that this video will be helpful to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stella Marie, and I serve as the chair of the BA program in psychology at UIU. I'd like to share with you some ways that psychology understands time management and some of the difficulties that people have in managing multiple roles in demands, particularly as adult students. I've had the privilege of working at Union for almost 20 years, and I'm still in awe of the responsibility that adult students take on in completing their degrees. Over the years, I've learned many tricks from my students on how to make the most out of limited time. And I've also learned about some of the struggles that students experience in completing their degrees, particularly as it relates to time management. From a psychological point of view, one of the most interesting and well researched aspects of time management is where it goes wrong, namely in procrastination. While we commonly talk about procrastination and time management skills as being almost synonymous, psychologically they are distinct. Time management skills involve using time effectively by setting goals and making decisions about priorities. But procrastination has less to do with those skills as it does with emotional regulation skills. So it's less about managing time as managing emotions. Some of my students who suffer from chronic procrastination are very knowledgeable about time management techniques, but they still have difficulty with procrastination. So we'll look at some of the reasons for that in this brief presentation. The process of procrastination involves avoiding a task that brings up a negative affect. It's usually anxiety. When we move to a different task or activity, our anxiety is immediately, but very, very temporarily reduced. Nonetheless, the small dose of tension reduction that we experience when we switch on our phone or turn on the television or daydream, these small reductions in anxiety actually condition our nervous system to want to do the same behavior when we feel some task-related anxiety in the future. So every time we turn to another activity, a bit of anxiety is reduced, but as that process goes on, the pressure and the oftentimes guilt and stress of not having completed a task starts to actually take hold and reduce the, um, the, the, the benefits, you might say, the temporary benefits of avoiding the task until we're finally faced with do or don't. Um, and We understand then that avoidance of tasks really begets further avoidance, and it makes this whole process much more likely to occur in the future. Now, um, some of the reasons behind this cycle have been studied by Burka and Ewan, and they have a very good book called Procrastination, in which they look at the negative affects that certain tasks generate and the reasons why we engage in avoidance behaviors. They go into a lot of depth on this, but I'll just focus on one of the major motivators for procrastination, which concerns anxieties and fears around failure, but also sometimes fears of success as well. Equally, a fear of success can also be in play for some people who procrastinate on a habitual basis. This oftentimes has more to do with fear that perhaps appearing too successful, too ambitious, or competitive will jeopardize relationships, or will result perhaps in constantly increasing demands for further performance in particular areas. So there's a tendency to kind of hang back and procrastinate so that those demands don't. It's kind of an unconscious fear. It's not a conscious one, but it's one that oftentimes is in play. Psychologists also look at factors that involved in procrastination and difficulties with time management in terms of demotivating factors and hindering factors. Demotivating factors are the ones that I just really talked about, those underlying emotional factors. But we have to also consider that there are hindering factors. And these have more to do with the contexts which make procrastination more likely. This list here, exhaustion, multiple competing demands on one's time, distractions within the environment, or abstract long-term goals, really describes a lot of the characteristics of many of my adult students who are trying to complete their studies after a full day's work, taking care of kids, or doing it on the weekends when they have so many other responsibilities that are calling for their attention. So those hindering factors are oftentimes in play. And this doesn't even take into account the other elements that are a part of our everyday lifestyle, including social media and the ready at hand opportunities for distraction and procrastination. So, in order to address procrastination that interferes with time management, it's important to take stock of your own unique demotivating and hindering factors. They're different for everyone. One common factor that is stressed in all of them is this process of taking stock, of really understanding your own unique um, picture, and then also figuring out how to set goals that are both realistic and meaningful. The idea in setting goals when it comes to getting out of the cycle of avoidance requires that you're able to set goals small enough so that it doesn't increase your anxiety around task completion, but big enough so that it actually is meaningful, that it will move you toward your outcome. So if the goal is something like writing a paper, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to write my paper this weekend, you might break it down. On Saturday, I'll write my first paragraph, or something that's more specific and concrete. Well, I hope these tips prove to be helpful to you. But in case you're interested in learning more, there's two websites here that I think are excellent resources. The first one actually includes a handbook with techniques that you can employ in your own life. And then there's another one that is the Procrastination Research Group at Carleton University. There's a very rigorous research program on procrastination at Carleton, and that website will give you a kind of deep dive in how psychologists study this kind of practical, everyday issue that so many of us face. So thank you very much.
Hello. So, one thing that goes hand in hand with time management would be organization. That's the number one thing that helped me when I was in school. Staying organized helped me visually see what I needed to do, how much time I needed to complete assignments, and so on and so forth. So, one of the techniques that really helped me while I was in school was to create a binder. In this binder, I have a notebook for each class, so I can have an example of it. Having a notebook for each class and being able to write down notes, assignment due dates in the actual notebook was very helpful for me because sometimes you're in a Zoom call with your teacher and she says, oh, hey guys, I'm going to give you an extension. This assignment's not due till another week. So then if you open up your notebook, you have week 1, all of your assignments are written down, and you can have some notes for your assignments in there as well. As you complete these assignments weekly, you check them off, and it's just a sense of satisfaction to see that slowly but surely, weekly, you start checking these assignments off, and guess what? Then you're done. Every week, I would sit down on Sundays, write all my weekly assignments down for each class, and during the week, I would set myself up one day to do one assignment, give myself about 30 minutes to maybe an hour of dedication to that assignment. And I did this about maybe 3 days a week until the assignment was finally due on Sunday. So that's just a little tip. Write your things down. If you're a visual learner, this is absolutely magnificent for you. You're able to check stuff off, you're able to see what's due, when it's due, informational guides. You're able to see when things are due. If you are in a Zoom meeting, next to the assignment, you can set notes. If the teacher breaks down the assignment, you're able to put it right next to the assignment as well. So,
Hello, I'm Dr. Jonina Anderson Lopez, a Writing Center tutor at Union Institute University. So, going back to school can be hard enough. Finding time to write a 10-page paper can make things seem all that much harder. So, there's a process to successfully complete most writing assignments, to include proper formatting, planning, writing, researching. I'm going to discuss these ways to help all of these steps seem more manageable. So first, with proper formatting, it takes time to set up an MLA, APA, or Chicago style paper. So take back some of that time by using the templates crafted for you on Microsoft Word. So when you go to create a new document, click on the search bar and find the template that you need. Then supplement the examples for your own information and delete extra things you may not need, like table of contents or appendix pages. So when it comes to planning and writing a paper, there are different approaches. You can give yourself a timeline and input it on your phone calendar. For example, maybe 1 or 2 days for smaller assignments, 3 to 5 days for larger writing assignments. Write what you can by using a notebook or a notepad feature on your phone. You may find yourself with odd moments of downtime during the day. When and if this happens, have your writing notebook or your phone handy and resume writing for that assignment. Even writing for 15 to 20 minutes at a time can help you finish. And figure out what times of the day you may be less busy or more productive. Is it early morning, mid afternoon, right after dinner? And dedicate that little chunk of time as your writing hour. And that way you can start to depend on this block of time to enable you to complete the assignment. In terms of planning out the assignment and then writing it, an outline is a simple solution. So outlines are boring, but in college they can be essential. They can become your best friend. An outline allows you to break down the writing assignment into parts, and this makes it so that you know what you have left to work on. And it allows you to be flexible when you write in your notebook or on your phone. For instance, with an outline handy, you don't have to start by writing an introduction. You can start on that main body paragraph or conclusion if that's what helps you to start writing. An outline can also help you become organized. Organization starts with knowing expectations. So the design, what should the paper look like, formatting, subheaders. Ask and learn what's expected of the document. Review the assignment guidelines to help you build the outline. Example, with what's pictured here, you can review the guidelines and sketch out an outline based on what is expected. But in general, every essay style writing assignment should include an introduction, main body paragraphs, like what are those assignment particulars, a conclusion, brief wrap up, and then based on this picture, here's a sample outline of ideas for an introduction, ideas for those main body paragraphs based on the assignment guidelines as pictured above. So with the outline, researching can be a quicker process because you'll have a better idea of the types of sources you need to find. And before researching, you should review your main focus from your outline. It's usually your research question or your purpose statement. And then scan through sources from the Union Library for relevancy. So even when all those sources come up, you can use Control F to sift through them. Or once you click on the article, you can still use that function Control F to scan through the article and find the usable passages to paraphrase or quote. So like any other process, writing requires planning. However, that planning stage does not have to take up your days and nights. Utilize those pre-made Microsoft templates, outline your essays to effectively manage time spent writing and researching. With these tips, you may become a more confident academic writer. Thank you.
You're working on a pretty major project, like a large paper, a very important presentation, um, a big lab report, things of that nature. It can be very overwhelming to just get started and get the ball rolling on that project. There's a lot. Fortunately for you, there's actually a lot of tools out there that are quite good and quite useful in terms of um, making that feeling of overwhelmness a bit more manageable. One tool is called an assignment calculator. An assignment calculator is a free tool that you can find. There's a wide variety of them available all over the internet. This is one that I particularly like that the University of Minnesota Library developed, and it's a very nice tool in terms of helping give you some breakdown and time frames of when you need to work on a paper. Um, Again, most of the time when students are struggling with getting started, the biggest struggle is just the overwhelming feeling that they have when they know that they've got a big project that they got to get done. And so this is a tool that can kind of help to make that a bit easier of a process. So how does this work? Well, the way you do it is you put in the start date, whatever day the assignment was, you started working on it. And so today is October 10th, 2020. So let's just say I got the assignment today, and I know that the assignment's going to be due on November 1st. November 1st, seems like, oh, that's a lot of time. That's really far out. But a lot of times, actually, that November 1st, you might be looking at it and how do I get, from point A to point B? So what happens is you put in like the date, and then you hit that calculate button. The first thing you do is it will break down each step that you'll want to take in. So by October 11th, you want to have a good understanding of what the assignment is about. And if it's a research-based essay where you're given some choice on the topic, pick out your topic. What do you want to do? Then a couple days later after that, start with your research and building that research. You're going to want to start with a general kind of research question that you want to use. When you get the research part started, research question, then you start looking for sources. And so by October 17th, you're going to be finding and evaluating evidence and sources and getting that going. And then as after you found those sources, then you want to read through them and evaluate them and really ask yourself, hey, is this going to be a useful source? Is this going to be one that's going to be helpful for me? And then after that, start developing the paper and developing the structure, draft the paper, and build put the citations in, and then write your first draft of the paper. After that, then you revise and you rewrite it and focus on your content. Maybe you take it to a writing center or you share it with a classmate or a friend or perhaps your instructor. And then by November 1st, you polish that paper after you got their comments, their feedback, you polish that paper and you put it in final form. Now, this is a tool that does a really good job of showcasing how to take a really challenging assignment like a research paper, make it manageable. But additionally, it actually kind of gives you some time um, uh, uh, commitments that will help you and force you to hold to. We talk a lot in the writing center about deadlines create action, and many times student writers need to actually have a deadline put in front of them. And so each one of these deadlines will force you to kind of get the ball rolling and get moving and working. The biggest thing for you to think about as you are working on these projects is that um, if you are spending most of your time writing and not spending like building drafts and not actually doing invention exercises or any research that's going to be needed, you're going to really struggle to actually be successful on the assignment. If you are putting lots of planning and research time into the assignment in order to give yourself the best possible shot to be successful on it, then the actual drafting process will be much easier, much more manageable, and it will be done very quickly and easily. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Susan Whitehead, reference librarian for Union Institute and University. Have you ever heard of a term calendar or the Pomodoro technique? These are two of many helpful time management strategies that you can learn about from the ebooks, videos, and other resources in the library. You can begin with a simple search for time management. Log in with your MyUnion login password. And here are the search results. You will see a variety of ebooks, videos, articles, and other resources. For instance, here is an online workbook. And here's an excellent ebook on time management. Click Read Online to view it. Please contact me or another librarian if you need assistance finding or using library resources. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Feel free to contact me at the email or telephone number listed here. Have a great day.